2026, organized by the Association for Industrial Development. As we all know that the session for which we all are present here is on coal gasification. We are very well aware that the coal gasification is a process that converts coal into syngas, which can be used to produce various products like chemicals, fuels, and electricity. But do we know that it has multiple opportunities like great creation, job creation, energy independence, logistics hub, sustainable development, and industrial growth in Vidarbha? So today we are going to discuss about the way forward for coal gasification projects in Vidarbha. We'll shortly start with the session, so I would like to request you all to please get settled down. And within a few moments, we are going to get started with the very first session of the day, which will be on coal gasification. Thank you. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all to Advantage Vidarbha 2026, organized by the Association for Industrial Development. Well, today in this conference hall, we are going to discuss about coal gasification, which is the very first session of the day. We'll discuss about the way forward for coal gasification projects in Vidarbha, as we all know that there are multiple opportunities like job creation, energy independence, logistics hub, sustainable development and industrial growth in Vidarbha. For this session, we have very esteemed speakers with us for the day. Without any further delay, I would like to invite our esteemed speakers on the dais. Let's have a big round of applause for Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat, former Director General DRDO and member Niti Aayog. I would also like to invite on the dais Srimati Rupinder Brar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Coal. Today we have with us Sri Piyush Kumar, Managing Director, BCGCL. Also, I would like to request Dr. Dasappa, Senior Scientist and Professor at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. May now please request Sri Bala Saheb Darde, CMD, New Era Clean Tech Solutions Private Limited. So here we have Sri Bala Saheb Darade sir also with us. Let's have a big hand for him. Also, I would like to request Dr. Nikhil Sardesai, Assistant Professor VNIT Nagpur, and who is also going to be the moderator for this discussion. And as we are looking forward to proceed with the session, may I now please request Mr. Piyush Mrig from Kartiki Exploration to please join us here for the welcome address.
Hello. Distinguished dignitaries, respected panelists, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and a very warm welcome to you all. Goals of energy security, sustainability, and industrial self-reliance, coal gasification, and clean fuel technologies assume critical importance. This forum provides a valuable platform to exchange ideas, share experiences, and explore practical pathways for advancing coal gasification projects, particularly in the Vidarbha region. We had a similar dialogue at Advantage Vidarbha, which became a catalyst for transformative growth, leading to investment of rupees 15,000 crore in the Vidarbha region. We believe this momentum will continue to inspire industry leaders to collaborate, innovate, and play a pivotal role in shaping the future of coal gasification sector in the Vidarbha region. With your kind permission, I would now like to take this opportunity to formally introduce the distinguished dignitaries and eminent panelists who have graced this occasion with their presence today. Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat, member Niti Aayog. Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat is a distinguished scientist with vast experience in defense research spanning over several decades. He retired as Secretary Defense Research and Development Organization. After decades of government service, he holds a PhD from Osmania University and an ME degree from the Indian Institute of Science. Dr. Saraswat has had an illustrious career and is credited with the indigenous development of missiles such as Prithvi, Dhanush, Praar, and Agni 5, the two-tiered ballistic missile defense system, the initial operational clearance of light combat aircraft Tejas, and nuclear submarine INS Aryant. As the Homi Bhabha Chair Professor and Consultant to IOCL R&D, Dr. Saraswat evolved a roadmap for the development of alternative energy systems such as clean coal technologies, high-efficiency concentrated solar power systems, and bioenergy and hydrogen-based economy. He is currently Chairman of Research Advisory Council, IOCL R&D. As member Niti Aayog, Dr. Saraswat, the methanol economy program for transportation, energy generation, and production of chemicals and fertilizer, etc. To this end, production agencies, academic institutions, and petro-refineries have brought together to further the cause as part of initiative M15 gasoline blend, methanol cooking stove, methanol-fueled propulsion for inland waterways, and methanol-fueled gensets are being introduced in the country. At the academia and industry levels, R&D in the gasification of high ash content India coal has been undertaken. He is the recipient of many awards, including the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan 2013. He has been conferred an honorary doctorate by more than 25 universities, most recently in She holds master degree in public administration from National University, Singapore, and is an alumnus of the Hindu College, Delhi. Prior to her appointment in Ministry of Coal, she has served as Chief Commissioner of Income Tax in Mumbai and as Commissioner of Income Tax and member of the Dispute Resolution Panel, looking into the transfer pricing and international tax issues. She has also served in Ministry of Tourism as ADG Tourism and nominated as Government Director on the Board of Indian Tourism Development Corporation Limited and its subsidiary Delhi Tourism and Transportation Development Delhi Corporation Limited. She is also functioning as Chief Vigilance Officer in the Ministry of Coal, Government of India. We welcome you, ma'am. Dr. Dasapa, Professor, Center for Sustainable Technologies, Indian Institute of Science. Dr. Dasapa is advisor at the Interdisciplinary Center for Energy Research, Indian Institute of Science. His research focuses on combustion of solid, liquid, and gaseous fuels. He has over 220 publications and more than 30 patents with extensive experience in global technology transfer and policy influence. His current work on producing hydrogen from biomass for PM fuel cell application is a novel process with significant potential for renewable energy, hydrogen, syngas, and biofuel production. He is leading a joint demonstration project with Indian Oil Corporation to set up the first green hydrogen from biomass PM fuel cell bus application. Professor Dasapa has been recognized among the world's top 2% most influential scientists for 3 years consecutive. We welcome you, sir. Piyush Kumar, MD, Bharat Coal Gasification and Chemicals Limited. Dr. Piyush Kumar is Managing Director of Bharat Coal Gasification and Chemicals Limited and Director of Coal Gas Limited. He is Head Coal to Chemical Department of Coal India, Kolkata. He worked as Director Technical in Ministry of Coal from 2013 to 2020 and served as Government Nominee Director in the board of several companies such as MECL, SECL, CMPDI, BCCL. We welcome you, sir, to the forum. Balasaheb Darade, Founder and Managing Director, New Era Clean Tech Solution Private Limited. Balasaheb Darade is an award-winning entrepreneur, public policy expert, and execution-focused global leader recognized for shaping high-impact clean energy and decarbonization initiatives. He operates at the intersection of energy security, sustainability, policy, and industrial transformation. As founder and managing director of New Era Clean Tech, he is leading one of India's most strategic clean energy platform of $4 billion at over a 1,650-acre land. integrated gasification, clean fuels, fertilizers, SFA fuels, and CCUS industrial ecosystem in Maharashtra. We welcome you, sir. Once again, I extend a very warm welcome to all our distinguished dignitaries, esteemed panelists, and valued participants. We are honored by your presence and look forward to an insightful and meaningful discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And yes, so with that, as I already told you all that today, for this panel discussion, we are having Dr. Nikhil Sardesai, sir, who is going to be the moderator of this session. So yes, without any further delay, let's move towards the next session, or towards the session for which we all are present. May I now please request Dr. Nikhil Sardesai, sir, to start the session.
Good morning. Yeah. So good morning, one and all. I welcome you all to Vidarbha, to Advantage Vidarbha session on coal gasification. India is positioning coal gasification as a strategic bridge between energy security, industrial growth, and clean coal utilization. This discussion will explore the business intent, the business viability, technical realities, the regional development opportunities, and the global lessons learned from the various countries. So now I welcome Saraswat sir to kindly address the session by his keynote.
आपकी केबल यहाँ तक आती है? Have a connector. I don't know which is your connector. This, I think most probably this. This goes into my. No, first you tell me whether this is your connector. केबल आएगा यहाँ तक? अरे बेटा इधर आओ। यहाँ से इसको कॉपी कर लो अपने कंप्यूटर पे, या फिर मैं यहाँ से चेंज कर लूँ। हाँ इस पे ले लो ना। पेन ड्राइव इसमें नहीं आएगा, इसमें आएगा। इसमें नहीं आएगा, नहीं आएगा, नहीं आएगा। इसमें लगाओ, इसमें जैसे पावर खोल दूँ इसको कॉपी कर लो।
इसको मैं कॉपी कर लूँ।
इसको लगा के प्रेजेंट करिए। आपका स्लाइड चेंजर है? स्लाइड चेंजर। I'm too short for this size. I'm not going to use this. कुछ riser है तो लंबे लोगों के लिए बना आपने, छोटे लोगों के लिए नहीं बना. ओके लगाओ. हाँ ठीक है, फुल कर दो, फुल स्क्रीन. गो टू शैंपेन ग्लास. अरे शैंपेन ग्लास पे जाओ, नीचे नीचे. हाँ नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग. सॉरी फॉर द टेक्निकल डिले. मेरा नाम आप लोगों ने सुन लिया. मैं डॉक्टर विजय कुमार सारस्वत हूं. हाँ, काफी 2 साल पहले भी मैं यहाँ विदर्भा में जब इस तरह का प्रोग्राम हुआ था तो आप लोगों के समक्ष कुछ मैंने प्रेजेंटेशंस किए थे कोल गैसिफिकेशन पर ही. 2018 से और आज तक करीब करीब 7 साल हो चुके हैं. कोल गैसिफिकेशन का जो एक मिशन हमारे ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने हमको दिया था वो ये था कि हिंदुस्तान में कोल गैसिफिकेशन होना चाहिए. उस समय नीति आयोग में और कोल मिनिस्ट्री के साथ मिलके और देश के काफ़ी बड़े बड़े वैज्ञानिकों के साथ मिलके एक कमेटी बनाई गई और उस कमेटी में करीब 2 साल तक काफ़ी डिटेल डिस्कशंस हुए कि किस तरह से हिंदुस्तान में कोल को गैसिफाई किया जा सकता है. क्योंकि एक इस तरह की भ्रांति थी, एक धारणा थी कि इंडियन हाई एश कंटेंट कोल कैन नॉट बी गैसिफाइड. और ये धारणा केवल मिनिस्ट्रीज में नहीं थी, ये एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन में थी, इंडियन एकेडमी में थी, इंडियन इंडस्ट्री में थी. और इसका फायदा बाहर के मुल्क की जितनी भी कंसल्टेंट कंपनीज थी वो पूरी तरह से उठा रही थी. एक सबसे पहला प्रयोग हुआ था, जिंदल स्टील्स ने एक प्लांट लगाया था लुर्गी, सासोल, और वो प्लांट काफ़ी साल लगने के बाद भी नहीं चला. तो वो एक उदाहरण ऐसा पेश किया गया कि क्योंकि इंडियन ऐश है, ऐश कोल है, इसलिए ये टेक्नोलॉजी इसके लिए सूटेबल नहीं है. अनफॉर्चुनेटली किसी भी संस्था ने, किसी भी एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन ने, किसी भी नेशनल लेबोरेटरी ने इस विषय को गंभीरता से नहीं लिया और जो रिसर्च उसके ऊपर करनी चाहिए थी वो बहुत नाम मात्र की रही. अगर आप देखेंगे डॉक्टर दासप्पा यहाँ हैं हमारे साथ, जिन्होंने इन सब विषयों में काफ़ी काम किया है. तो मैं आप बताऊं कि 2006-05 तक हिंदुस्तान से हाई एश कंटेंट कोल गैसिफिकेशन पे हार्डली एनी पेपर्स वर देयर. उसके बाद हम 2018 से जब हमने इसके बारे में काम शुरू किया तो हमने कहा कि ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता, ये ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी है ही नहीं कि इसको नहीं कर सकते हैं. पर उसके साथ साथ चाइना में कोल गैसिफिकेशन के ऊपर 2015-16 से काफ़ी काम हुआ और हमारे पास न्यूज़ ये आने लगी कि चाइना में बहुत सारे कोल गैसिफिकेशन प्लांट लगे हैं और ये भी न्यूज़ आ गई कि शेल जैसी कंपनी ने प्लांट लगाए हैं, इस कंपनी ने लगाए, काफ़ी विदेशी कंपनीज के नाम आए. तो हमारे देश के काफ़ी इंडस्ट्रियल पीपल गए और देखा कि वहाँ पे कोल गैसिफिकेशन प्लांट काम कर रहे हैं और वो तरह तरह के प्लांट थे। कोई कहता था एंट्रेन बेड प्लांट है, कोई कहता था सर्कुलेटिंग फ्लूइडाइज बेड है, और कोई कहता था नहीं वहां भी हाई एश कंटेंट कोल से काम चल रहा है। तो हमने कहा अगर चाइना में हो सकता है तो हमारे यहाँ क्यों नहीं हो सकता। तो एक विशेष तौर से ये कार्य शुरू किया गया। तो आज मैं आपको ये बैकग्राउंड इसलिए दे रहा हूं कि हम लोग इस भ्रांति के कारण एक गिव अप वाली स्थिति में रहे, और गिव अप वाली स्थिति होने की वजह से आवर कंट्री हैज नॉट बीन एबल टू कोप विद द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ क्लीन कोल टेक्नोलॉजीज। तो आज मैं आपको एक थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल कम कॉमर्शियल डिटेल देना चाहूंगा, एंड आई सी लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट्स आर हियर, फॉर देम प्रॉब्ली इट मे बी स्लाइटली बियॉन्ड देयर अंडरस्टैंडिंग, बट आई ट्राई टू मेक इट एज सिंपल एज पॉसिबल। हम कोल की क्यों बात करते हैं? व्हाई आर यू टॉकिंग अबाउट कोल? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कोल because there is a energy demand. The energy demand has tripled over the last कौन सा है भाई? ये है या ये है या ये है? काम नहीं करता। आप ही कर दीजिए, मैं बोल दूंगा, आप करते जाइए। नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। तो एनर्जी डिमांड के कारण से इलेक्ट्रिक डिमांड अंडर बिजनेस एज यूजुअल केस इन द सिनेरियो ऑफ 2047 विल बी टू द ट्यून ऑफ 600 टेरावाट आवर्स। टोटल एनर्जी डिमांड बाय 2070, और 2070 हैज ए स्पेशल सिग्निफिकेंस बिकॉज वी हैव मेड ए कमिटमेंट टू द वर्ल्ड दैट इंडिया विल बी नेट कार्बन जीरो बाय 2070। मतलब हमारे देश में कार्बन कंट्रीब्यूशन जो है जीरो हो जाएगा। पर उस समय हमारी जो एनर्जी डिमांड है गोइंग टू बी 18,900 to 22,300 टेरावाट आवर्स। एंड ऑल आवर सिमुलेशन, ऑल आवर स्टडीज विद ऑल एक्सपर्ट्स इंडिकेट दैट 29% प्राइमरी एनर्जी इवन एट दैट टाइम विल बी प्रोड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम कोल। सो इट इज ऑब्वियस दैट if we have to become net carbon zero, we cannot burn the coal the way we are burning today. If we burn the coal the way we are burning today, we cannot be net carbon zero. And hence, there has to be a paradigm shift aiming towards increased efficiency and cleaner approaches so that we can achieve the net carbon zero while using the coal itself. And hence, the technology like net carbon zero. Next. All of us know this graph shows that the total estimated coal reserve of India is approximately 400 billion tons as on 1st April 2025. Out of that, 220 billion tons is in the proven category. Or India has a historic milestone of 1.04 billion tons coal production in the year 24-25, thanks to our Coal India, thanks to our coal ministry and all the private industries who are involved in the mining. That means we have a target of something like 1.5 at an annual growth rate of about 6 to 7%. Our import, we used to import a lot of coal. Can you imagine? India having so much of coal, but we were importing almost 26 to 27% coal from Indonesia, Malaysia, and all these places. The reason, when we discovered, the reason was the cost of transporting the coal from Indonesia to the thermal power plants or the steel plants which are located on the coastal region was much lower than the cost of transporting it from Odisha into those places like Tamil Nadu and so on. So ये सब बातें होने से we see that there has been a significant drop in the import, about 8.4%, which saved about 5.43 billion in foreign exchange. This graph shows, if you see all the bars, our 80% of the coal produced in India is utilized for the thermal power plants, the large one. next one is oil, next one is gas, and so on. And energy consumption is also shown there. Basically, our energy distribution, if you say about 84% is the fossil fuel, and only 20 RE and nuclear is about 16%. So that is the kind of a distribution we have. So coal demand. Vidarbha has got western coal fields. You have great reserve. Unfortunately, the problem of Vidarbha mining, last night we were discussing, because of the depth, I think, at which it has to be done, and some other reasons. It is one of the most, as on today, the costly process. But if you see all the sectors, cement plant, steel plant, power plant, coking coal, others, power is the highest, 808 million tons. And total non-coking is about 1289, and total is about 1376 million tons. This is the kind of a demand. And as I was mentioning to coal-based power generation, next please. Next. Yeah. Coal-based power generation will be highest, and we have to go to something like clean coal technologies. And clean coal technology is nothing but not burning the coal as it is, but gasifying the coal, and then of course integrating it with the carbon capture utilization so that your carbon footprint is reduced. Next please. So what are the clean coal technologies? One is the reducing the coal consumption. That is what we are trying to do by getting it to renewable power and things like that. Reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. Use carbon capture and utilization and storage facility. Or improving the efficiency of burning coal by using what is called advanced ultra supercritical plants, where the efficiency can be as high as 47 to 48% as compared to ultra supercritical, which is in the region of 38 to 42%. And integrated with the integrated gasification combined cycle, which also takes it to higher than 48%. Unfortunately, in India, we have again worked on both these processes not in a consistent manner. As a result, these are not yet commercialized. Next one is, as I mentioned to you, the description of coal gasification. It has also not gone to the level that it can be also commercialized even today. Carbon dioxide utilization for production of chemicals and methanol, that's another one. These are the various methods which are possible for net carbon zero. Next, please. So clean coal technologies, major problems associated with the current coal-based technologies because lower efficiency, environmental loading and consequent damages. Bulk coal reserves in India are of inferior grade, non-coking coals with ash content in the region of 45 to 50%. So we need CCT with high efficiency and lower environmental impact to produce synthetic fuels, chemicals, various thermal applications, and power generation. Next, please. Now, what is coal gasification? Now, this is what children, all of you should see, because many of the other people who are present there, they know this process very well. Basically, coal gasification is a process in which you take coal, you mill it and mix it with water or slurry, you make it, and pump into a reactor where the oxygen is pumped, the coal is fed there, and it is gasified with steam and so on. So you produce what is called gas, and that gas is then passed through a scrubber to remove the particulate matter. Then mercury is removed. Then there's a gas cleaning plant where hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, and sulfur are removed. So you get what is called cleaned syngas, which is mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Now this carbon monoxide and hydrogen can be used as it is or in separated form for different processes like making methanol and any other thing, or syngas as it is for different applications. So this is in small the description of how a coal gasification plant works. Next, please. The coal gasification products, like we can take coal or pet coke, then gasify, create syngas, Then, say, as I mentioned to you, the moment you have syngas, carbon monoxide can be used for making chemicals, acetic acid. Methanol can be used for making formaldehyde, DME, ethylene, propylene, MMA, and also now SF. Then you can separate hydrogen, and that hydrogen can be used for refinery, fuel cell, and ammonia, and so on. And downstream, you can do many things from this. Once you produce them, you can make organic chemicals, you can make sustained aviation fuel. And if you do the Fischer-Tropsch process, ये क्या चाहिए आपको क्या चाहिए? If you use the Fischer-Tropsch process, you will be able to make diesel, naphtha, and others. Next, please. Now, what is the global scenario as far as coal gasification is concerned? This technology was developed in 1800 to generate town gas used for lighting and heating in UK. During World War I and II, Germany refined the products to produce SNG, gasoline, and diesel. South Africa is producing such products on commercial grounds. China's coal gasification program began more than 25 years back, and it has, next please, and it has scaled to almost about 300 million tons per annum of coal as of now. 75 plus coal to chemical projects across 15 provinces are under planning stage. And coal gasification there is producing ammonia to the tune of 70 million tons per annum, urea to the tons of 80 million tons per annum, and methanol to the tune of 80 million tons per annum. If you see from 2024 to 2032, there has been a significant increase, about 6.25% CAGR, and reaching to about $22.44 billion. So this is the kind of a market you can see here already. Next, please. Now, there are different kinds of gasifiers, and this is important because now, if the country has to decide what is the best gasifier, they should have a knowledge of what is the different type of gasifiers technically available. One of them is called the fixed gas gasifier. In this case, the solid fuel remains as a packed bed inside the reactor. The bed is called a fixed, and fuel usually moves slowly through the reactor. Air and oxygen, steam flow through the bed, and its advantages is it can be a top-down, updraft or downdraft. So advantage is flow of solids is independent of the flow of gas, minimal pre-treatment of feed coal, and high thermal efficiency. But there's a disadvantage in terms of product gas contains tars, oils, and heavy hydrocarbons, and high methane content of the product gas. Then there is a fluidized bed gasifier, where the solid particles are suspended and mixed in an upward flow of gas, air, or oxygen. Fluidization gives excellent mixing and heat transfer. Advantages: uniform particle mixing, uniform temperature gradients, and higher charge recycling rate. Less gas cleanup, less capital cost. Disadvantages: particle entrainment sometimes. And as of you, worldwide, the understanding of the circulating fluidized bed is limited. There are pumping requirements and pressure drop requirements. Then there is an entrained flow gasifier, next please, which is the fuel is finely ground, injected in the form of a slurry carried by the gasifying agent at a very high temperature and high speed. Unlike fixed bed or fluidized bed, there is no solid bed. Everything reacts while flying. Advantage: to handle practically any feed. Syngas is free of oils and tars, and low methane production. Disadvantage is high energy consumption, high temperature and pressure. But there's a major problem here is of what is called slagging. Because what happens, this particular reactor works at a very high temperature to the tune of 1200 to 1400 degrees Celsius. And all the ash which is present there tends to melt. And once it melts, it becomes a slag. And it actually chokes the complete process. And hence you have problems of intermittency. So we did a comparison of all these key factors which were of fluidized bed, entrained bed, and fixed bed. I don't want to go into details of that, but the conclusion is fluidized bed gasification is superior because it avoids high ash melting, tolerates difficult ash chemistry. Now, why I'm saying difficult ash chemistry? Because every coal in different parts of the world has different ash chemistry. For example, Indian coal is a high content of alumina and silica, and its fusion temperatures are lower than 1000 degrees Celsius or around that. Whereas if Indian ash has, so most of the time when you use an entrained bed where the temperature is 1200 to 1400, every ash becomes a slag. Whereas in circulating fluidized bed, temperatures don't go beyond 800 degrees, so it remains as a ash only. So you can tolerate difficult ash chemistry, provides excellent gas-solid contact, and maintains stable operation under high variable feed conditions. We can discuss this in more detail. I'm not going into details of that. Next, please. Now, under these conditions, when we saw that coal gasification, the instructions of our Honorable Prime Minister has to be done, Government of India took initiatives in 2020 and set an aim that 100 million tons by 2030 should be gasified. And investment to the tune of 4 trillion rupees was identified. I see two major gentlemen and lady from Ministry of Coal present here who have been responsible for this kind of a policy. Financial outlay of 8,500 crores in three parts, 4,000 crores for government PSU, 3,850 for private, and 600 crores for the demonstration plants. Initiatives have been taken now. I am very happy to see that all that effort of all of us together has led to 4 major or 5 major projects going on now. And Coal India is playing a major role. CIL, BHEL, CIL GAIL, CIL SAIL, Niglide, and WCL. WCL is the one which is going to be in Vidarbha region. So you can see that you are part of this initiative of the Government of India. And coal gasification projects in India will lead to hydrogen production of 15 million metric tons from the world's largest petcoke gasification plant in Jamnagar. JSPL 1.8 million tons direct reduction DRI plant based on coal gasification at Angul. BHEL coal to methanol plant producing 0.25 TPD methanol from high ash Indian coal. This is the one which was done as part of our initiative to set up research and development activity in BHEL, in Thermex, in IIT Delhi and other places which led to this. Similarly, ISC Bangalore and DST, they have done 0.75 TPD two-stage coal gasification plant on fixed bag technology. Then Simfer, they have also done on a blown pressurized fluidized bed gasifier of 1.5 TPD. These are some of the things which have happened. This is the diagram of, next please. Yeah. This is the diagram of indigenously developed Indian coal technology. This is one case where we have taken 45% high ash coal, fluidized beds funded by Thermex and IIT Delhi together. Today the plant which is running using about 6 TPD of coal and producing about 4 TPD of carbon dioxide and 1 TPD of methanol. So this plant is operational today at Thermex, Chintuar, Pune, which has removed that myth that Indian high ash content coal cannot be gasified. This is one demonstration that shows the capability of our country's scientists, that if we work together, we can overcome all these problems. Now, one of the major things is hydrogen. All of us are working for hydrogen today because there is a need for us to produce hydrogen as an alternate fuel. Today, world over, the only process which produces hydrogen is a syngas, that is the methane reforming process using a steam methane reforming. Today, if you use what is called the green hydrogen electrolysis, which is supposed to be the process for using, for electrolyzing water, today its cost is going to be in the region of about $7 per kg. with the following parameters, that the electrolysis efficiency is 65%, load factor is about 47%, and levelized cost of power is about $50 per megawatt hour. But as the advancement of natural gas reforming, cost would increase by 13%, while for hydrogen, if you produce from coal gasification, cost would decrease by 11% in 2030. And this is what we have said, coal gasification with carbon capture and storage, its cost will be about $3, and the breakup is hydrogen production is shown in the blue, and logistics cost is shown in yellow, and the green shows the pricing of the remaining CO2 emissions. As you go further and further, you can make out that steam methane reforming, if you want to integrate it with the carbon capture and utilization, it will be less than this. If you take electrolysis and load factor you change and power costs come down to 0, it will come to slightly more than 2. And then in the case of electrolysis, load factor coming down and power is about $2. So you can see that there's a possibility of integrating with all the coal gasification plants which you are trying to set up today, the carbon capture, utilization and storage. If you see that, the net carbon into the atmosphere will be 0, and the chemicals which will produce, whether it is hydrogen or it is methanol or DME or acetic acid or whatever you will produce, will be called E-methanol, E-chemical. The advantage of E-chemical versus the grey chemical is that the cost benefit is available because the differential is to the tune of 1.5 to 1.7 times. For example, the methanol, Mr. Prashant is here, he will be able to give you more figures. I think today we have costs in the region of $250 to $275 per ton. Whereas if you go for E-methanol, you can sell it for $500 per ton. And if you go for green methanol, which is produced from biomass and then others, it will be in the region of $800. So you have a specific advantage. While your capex may be slightly more, you will be able to achieve more benefits on the long run. Next, please. Future growth of coal gas projects will depend on several factors. One is production and capital cost, competitiveness of the coal-based chemicals and government support, government policy for the supply security of domestically available coal for coal gasification industry, particularly the cost of the coal, that becomes very important, and regulation of standards for blending of coal for chemical applications, and availability of land, water, and related infrastructure. And I'm sure all these companies who are named, they have been able to muster support of the state governments, and Vidarbha region, particularly in Maharashtra, has been very, very forthcoming in supporting the project in and around Nagpur. I'm quite certain that this land, water, and other infrastructure will be provided, and through this conference, there will be a significant achievement of that. So the way forward is setting up, next please, setting up demonstration plants to scale up indigenous technology. Whatever you saw in the BHEL plant or Thermax plant, it is required that we should, instead of going for 1 million ton or 2 million ton, we should first set up a 300 to 400 tons per day plant to scale up in a gradual manner through public-private partnership. For that, maybe the VGF for production of chemicals can be made use of. Setting up of plants to produce methanol to the tune of 300 to 500 tons per day. We also should introduce the PLI scheme for setting up coal gasification plants. For that, some of the things can be done for rationalizing the pricing of the coal for gasification. Because the typical figure I have noticed, last night I was discussing with my friends here, that if you mine the coal in Dankuni, its cost is about, Dankuni is in the Bengal, is in the region of 800. Western coalfield, I think it's about 1200 to 1500. Now, once it goes to the site where this is required to be done, through all the taxations and things like that, the cost becomes 4,500 to 5,000 rupees per ton. Now, this is a very excessive inflation that takes place, which is actually affecting the industry of coal gasification, and the chemicals are becoming non-competitive. So it becomes important that policies for taxation, state cess, and transportation handling should be modified, particularly rail transportation. I got it done from 160 classification to 100, but unfortunately the new minister and new government, management came, and they again went back to 120 or 140. So this kind of a ding-dong will certainly adversely affect the coal gasification plants. And if we want to achieve that 100 million tons target, I think this kind of a support, VGF funding, all of them are absolutely essential. I'm very happy that Vidarbha is organizing a conference of this night twice, and the focus of the government of Maharashtra is totally on exploiting the natural resources of Vidarbha region, the technical capabilities of the people here, and the investment profile what we have. It shall be one of the foremost center for producing coal gasification in the country. I wish you all the best. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Actual facts with quantifiable numbers behind these facts. So I thank Dr. Saraswat again. Now we will start our panel discussion. I would like to invite Ms. Brar from Ministry of Mines to basic Ministry of Coal. I kindly invite her to basically enlighten us about the various policies that the government is taking towards encouraging the coal gasification projects all over the world, or all over India, and especially in Vidarbha.
Thank you, Nikhil. First, I want to thank the organizers for taking up such an important subject for this forum, and particularly that it's happening in Vidarbha. I think that's a wonderful initiative, because we look forward to Vidarbha being, it always has been, a very important part of the country, and currently also a lot of hopes out of Vidarbha in terms of industrial and overall socio-economic development. So many congratulations to the organizers for taking up such a major initiative, and the fact that we have the force of the Honorable Minister who's from here makes it doubly important in terms of not only relevance, but more relevant to 21st century India. The first presentation done by Dr. Saraswat has, I'm sure, given all of you who are not aware of gasification also a lot of view, and whoever knew a little bit about gasification, I think Dr. Saab's presentation was excellent in terms of various things around gasification. The first thing, and I must add to what he said, that there cannot be any dispute or any debate on the fact, on the need for gasification. And that's why at the central government level, the whole concept came as a mission. So we have a mission called the Coal Gasification Mission, where the target is 100 million tons of coal to be used for gasification by 2030. Now, when we announce a mission, of course, all the challenges that Dr. Saraswat has already pointed out, that where do you go for technology, what do you really do, started to emanate. And a lot of discussions have happened at Niti Aayog level also to see that yes, there is technology around the world, but then how to make it suitable and how to make it relevant to the Indian coal conditions, because obviously every country's coal is unique, and so ours is also unique. It has its own positives, it has its own disadvantages on how to use it in the optimal manner. Now, while all these evaluations were happening and while all the discussions were happening at Niti Aayog level, Nikhil, the government in the meantime thought that let's do a few more things. One major thing that came up was the financial support policy, the 8,500 crore that got announced in January 2024, because one clear understanding was that financial support is something that the sector will need. And the government also wanted to show its own seriousness in terms of commitment in supporting the industry. Currently, under that, as already shown in the presentation, 7 projects are underway, and Coal India has taken the lead, because another thought was that if the largest coal company of the country does not take it up, then who else will? So with that thought behind, Coal India today, in partnership with BHEL, GAIL, and the Talcher project was already ongoing, which of course Piyush will talk a little more on in detail. But those are things that we are already taking up. And alongside that, we have New Era. Balasab will talk more on that part. And Greta, you're already here. So a lot of interest has already come. While doing that, then the other things that were required was that making sure coal is supplied in abundance. So that has happened. The NRS special window for gasification is already there. In terms of the auction of coal blocks, if you take that, then the revenue that you have to pay to the state government is 50% for gasification. So that's another one of the important policy initiatives. So number of such things. And now when we are looking at technology around the world, if you have to get certain components, so at the Government of India level, you need a clearance called the PPO number 4 clearance. So for 7 different elements, components, let's put it, the approval has come for these 7 projects that are already ongoing. And I'm sure likewise for all other projects that will come in times to come. At the central government level, whenever you need any technology tie-ups, one, you will have the advantage now of already these ongoing 7 projects, their learnings, their transactions, their communications in terms of, yes, technology X, but technology X in the Indian conditions. And that's where I think Coal India, playing its role, a responsible role of taking the lead, is also going to give a lot of learnings. So sessions like these is something we would want that we should have more of them. Because today, after I speak, when Piyush will also come in with his technology part and Balasab will also share, these are the forums which will give all of you a lot more information from the ground level, that when the transactions are happening, when discussions are happening with technology providers around the world, how to make that technology suitable in the Indian conditions would be a very relevant part. And in fact, before the sessions, we were having a discussion with Dr. Saab also, and more such panel discussions, more such thought will be undertaken very soon with Niti Aayog at the helm of affairs. So we will be going back to them with all the learnings that have happened in the last few months to make sure that there is convergence, and also any new partner that comes in doesn't have to go through the same baby steps again. All the baby steps that are being taken in these 7 projects will be like a learning for all of you. So a lot of things like that happening at the central government level. We also have our doors open for all of you. You're more than welcome to come and give your suggestions, your problems. I already have a paper given to me by Madhusudanji. So a lot of things are there. Financial support, the government is already working in expanding the current policy, looking at all the interests. And I'm sure in times to come, we will be looking at an expanded scheme also. And in terms of technology, as I already said, there is a lot of dialogue already happening, of which all of you will be the beneficiaries in times to come. What has also emerged out of forums like these, including today, is the need for us to support more innovation, more R&D within the country. Our aim should be over a period of time not to need going out of India to get technology. We should become Atmanirbhar in terms of technology also. And that's where I think my, in fact, request to all of you will be that when the government is coming so actively into it, all of you should also do your small pilots, do little experiments. There is already in the existing scheme also the scope for doing a small pilot, which is one of your projects, in fact. And those kind of initiatives, our goal should not just be 100 million ton by 2030. Our goal should be ingrown indigenous technology by 2030. I think that would be the success. And I'm sure that as a country which is a billion, almost a billion plus actually country today, with the kind of science and technology temperament that we have in our country, if we really set our goal on it, we can do it. I think that should be, I mean, we have on this little forum only, we have somebody who has been celebrated, given so many awards, doctor, and so Padma Bhushan, it's not a small achievement. And then Dr. Saab comes from a different generation. I have a young person here, Nikhil, who's already done his doctorate in gasification. So I think collective wisdom, if we see between all of us here, Piyush, you are there, Dr. Saab is also there. So much of potential in terms of putting our heads together. I think the time for us, and which is where I would want to leave my thought with all of you, is the time for us in India today is we really should start believing in ourselves that we can do it ourselves. थोड़ी सी learning दुनिया से लेके आनी है, because there's no point in wasting time in whatever learning they have done. But after having said that, there is no reason why we should keep depending on technologies out of India. I think that's where we need to come together, and we must use the benefit of all the collective wisdom that is there in our scientists, in the practitioners, in all of you who are associated with the trade to make the policy. Now, while we are talking of one kind, because the one focus today was on surface, I also want to just use this forum for one more dimension, that when we look at India's coal reserves, Nikhil, in 1st April 2025, for example, we have 400 billion tons of coal in India. That's enormous. We are the second largest country in terms of our reserves and also in terms of using coal currently. Out of this, almost 44-45% of our reserve, which is about 175 billion ton, is quite deep-seated. We as a country also need to think about how to use that deep-seated resource. And that is an important dimension on which also we are working in making a framework for underground coal gasification. Again, there have been global studies. There are not too many commercial plants currently. But it's a challenge again for us as a country that can we not do it? With so much of global study available, with pilots done around the world, again it's a challenge for all of you, the young scientists, the senior ones, and everybody in the practitioners, to put that knowledge together and made a success. Why is it important? Dr. Saab has already highlighted. I want to still add to that. If we look at just 2025, the chemical that India has imported is a little over 2 lakh, almost 2.5 lakh crore, which is a lot of money spent on importing. And what are we importing? We are importing synthetic natural gas, we are importing ammonium nitrate and things like that. Things that we can very well get from coal, in the coal to chemical approach. So that's a high priority area, and one, it is important from the government's perspective, of course, to become self-reliant, but it's also a very good business opportunity. For anybody associating today with coal gasification, whether surface or underground, look at the kind of downstream products that are today required in the domestic market itself. And then look at the export potential. It's tremendous. So I think from my forum, I would basically like to exhort on all of you that we should get together, make a success of it. It's a great business vertical. We should look at good partnerships in terms of financial investment, technology partners to begin with, and aim not just to become self-reliant, but to look forward to export these chemicals, which currently as a country we are spending so much in terms of importing.
To thank the organizers for inviting me. The topic today is way forward for coal gasification projects in Vidarbha. Sir has already covered everything, so I will now come to the practical aspect of taking up projects in Vidarbha. One thing I will assure that some of the players like Coal India, New Era and Greta, we have done a lot of research for last 1.5 years to shortlist the technology. So whatever our experience we have gained is available to you. You can talk to any of us. We can tell you about the pros and cons, things you should take care. So not much a problem. What we have learned for 1.5 years, you need not to reinvent those things. You can take up the gasification projects using those technologies. Second is that Coal India means, one thing I will assure that for last 2 years you can say, but ministry is having a total blessing role for all the projects, all the companies who are taking up coal gasification either as surface or underground. So if you are taking up, like ma'am has told, you will get 100% support, even not only in the ministry. If you need support from some other ministry in central government, that is also Ministry of Coal is extending support to you. Now comes to the indigenization of technologies, because what we have searched is outside India. One project, BHEL, we have already started. Everything is on track. We have started land development activities in BCGCL, so that project will come. When I was ministry, I had an interaction with Professor Dasappa. He has already developed one circulating fixed bed gasifiers at pilot scale. Now he is going for demonstration scale. So Coal India thinks about 3 approach. One is to take up the project on commercially proven technology. Second, to support the indigenous technology to be set up at demonstration and commercial scale. And third thing is CCUS. Because in gasification, we are already capturing CO2, only utilization part is missing. So utilization, we are already having tie-up with 2-3 agencies. And since government has also given financial support for CCUS, so as a BCGCL or in Coal India for other 2 projects, we will be taking up some pilot level thing so that in the next 4 years, by the time the project comes, our CCUS become practical and we can implement it. The last thing which I wanted to cover is now that Coal India is now planning under the direction of ministry to sell syngas as a commodity. So rather than selling coal, we will sell syngas. So don't worry on coal gasification. Think about utilizing syngas. So syngas you can utilize in the DRI plants, in methanol, in SNG, in ammonia, ammonium nitrate, other things. We will take care of providing syngas. So Coal India is going to float a tender very soon in next week for potential off-taker for syngas. So during the interaction in last one day in Nagpur, I have come to know that in Gadchiroli you have a lot of iron ore deposits and many small players can come up for gas-based DRI in those areas. So Coal India can think about a cluster-based large capacity syngas production, and we can give linkage to so many other players who wanted to come for DRI unit as syngas. So Coal India has planned 2 types of gasification project. One is at cluster. We can think about in Vidarbha, we can think about in Raigad, we can think about in Odisha, where we have a coal mine, big mines. So in the cluster, Niti Aayog, we had a discussion. They are also planning to have some policy so that some incentives can be given for the coal-based cluster industries. So that can be taken up. So your suggestion, your feedback is required. You can send these feedback to Ministry, Niti Aayog. We can have a policy so that in future, the cluster-based concept for syngas production can be taken up. And second is, at the plant, we can also set up a gasification project. We will bring coal, like there are so many idle gas-based power plants. There are some fertilizer plants under expansion. They require CO plus H2. So those projects can take care of our support. You need not worry about coal, need not worry about technology. You just tell me how much syngas you require at what quality. So that we will take care. So at this forum, I will just say that in Vidarbha, Garchirodi is a potential area where you have iron ore, you have coal. So we have a discussion with so many players. We will be floating the tender next week. We hope so that a very good project comes up in Vidarbha. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to hear that Coal India is taking initiatives in syngas and its production and its offtake. It's a very good news for the various upcoming chemical industries to use the syngas. Now I would like to ask Shri Darade Sahib a couple of questions from the point of view of Vidarbha, since he is right from here. So I just need to pick his brains about can Vidarbha become an emerging coal to chemical innovation cluster within the next 5 years, especially till 2030? And since Saraswat Saab, Brar Madam and Piyush Sir have spoken about carbon capture and utilization and storage, so what are the opportunities for CCU, especially for the coal in WCL and coal around the Vidarbha region? And what are the realistic timeline?
Sure. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Rupinder ji and Piyush, Professor Dasappa and everyone. So thank you for great questions. In fact, already Piyush started on that. But if there has to be any cluster in gasification, then Vidarbha is the right choice. And out of the 7 projects which are being selected and supported by Ministry of Coal, I would like to tell that more than 50%, 4 projects are in Vidarbha at one place only. So we are already, it is already a natural cluster that is happening. Also, Maharashtra is the first state to bring coal gasification as a thirst area. So both central government and state government, both are in terms of policy. In terms of industry, already you are seeing that there is already momentum happening there. Vidarbha being having a coal, iron ore, limestone, also being agriculture like biomass, potential for a huge biomass, bamboo. So overall, like if you see this, we being a 0 mile city of the country, there is a miles and miles steps to walk and contribute to the country. And if you see in China also, there are mainly 3 clusters, and most of the in gasification, the most of the business or most of the revenue of gasification, 47% of the revenue of gasification is coming from 3 clusters in China. So particularly as we know, one is of course, I'm going to talk about CCUS, pilot and research and R&D, and it is very important. And one of the 2 projects that we are taking up. So we also got selected for a pilot project, which is for CCU and pilot gasification. But now coming back to the economic reality, that gasification becomes feasible at a large scale. Commercial scale, which we want to, because 40% of total energy of the country for 1.5 billion people, we are importing. Last year, 87% of the oil we imported. More than 50% of the gas we imported, and we know the whole tariff was around energy. So most of the global wars are around energy, and I would say in problem lies the solution. The biggest opportunity after Second World War is in energy transition, and we are at the epicenter of that, truly in central place in India. And having our geography, having right now we are known for resource based geography. Right now we are providing coal, electricity and iron ore, and now we want to move from resource to value added chemicals. So this is the real contribution for our goal for Vikasit Bharat that we are looking for 2047 to be Atmanirbhar in energy. So I am anticipating that Vidarbha should play around, about 80 million ton of coal gasification and 20 million ton of biomass gasification. So 100, by 2047, that's the potential that we had done a research. And today also, just to give you what is the potential for coal gasification. So if today we had to replace our imported oil and gas, then we can gasify about 1350 million ton coal per year. So that is the potential. Though our national mission is 100 million ton coal gasification, but from industry point of view, that is the gap that industry we have opportunity to fill, as rightly pointed out by Madam, that import substitute and export potential. So both this coal gasification it provides to us, and right from energy like security to now coming back to the sustainability and affordability. I mean, that's where the solution has to be. Our philosophy at New Era is that affordability, sustainability and availability. Solution has to be at the intersection, and that can, so that's where the role and of coal gasification mission. Now, recently in recent budget, we have heard about CCUS, 20,000 crore allocation for, thanks to Dr. Saraswat and his team. He has been pushing for this for a long time. So, coal gasification plus CCUS is our, future, and that like center for excellence or cluster or whatever we can say, that opportunity truly lies here. And I would like to appeal both Ministry of Coal and Niti Aayog, and Government of Maharashtra is also very keen. We discussed this with Chief Minister and Chief Secretary also. So how can this cluster have even more benefits to the more industries to come together, more MSMEs, so that skilling. And at New Era, we would like to welcome anybody who would like to on any pilot research. We have a 1650-acre land, MIDC land, and we are happy to share our resources for anybody who would like to also work on innovation, R&D. The another opportunity is in CCUS, because the beauty of coal gasification is we have a carbon CO capture ready. So carbon is not a problem. How we use that is a problem. Like industrialization is not a problem. How we engineer the solutions for sustainability, and that's where, of course, we have seen on the day one a lot of traction in Advantage Vidarbha on electron side, right? Solar and renewables. Now, Chief Minister announced that about 1 lakh crore of investment and 1 lakh amount of jobs coming up, and then green steel, and that was another focus area. And gasification is a right to connect that, because green, like electron is good, but molecules are the one. Electrons will light up the electricity houses, but molecules are the one which will like take the industrialization further. So, and in molecules we have been importing a lot, and that's where the now this coal gasification can work around. Just to give you certain areas, like on this time in Davos, again we signed one MOU on CO2 to SAF. So coal gasification, then captured, we will capture CO2 and then captured CO2 by adding more gap green hydrogen. That's where the role of even RE, renewable RE will come. So with having this right RE cluster also around the corner and gasification, we have a CCUS as a natural, because in terms of utilization, this is a natural synergy that we'll have. So I don't find any other geography in India that will have advantage. Both we are good for RE, we are good for gasification. Also there is a CBM site which is close to us. So both CCUS angle that can be. So I would say that we are sitting at the right place in right time with the right government policies and motivation from both government and policy bodies. So it is, and how we thought, New Era, we started 3 years back, and before that I had started another company which could not, I mean, we have been trying to do gasification in Chandrapur since last 10 years, almost 10 years. So a lot of people, I mean, they know Rungtaji is here. I mean, we had invited a Chinese company, US company, but now, right now is any like entrepreneurs or MSME or businesses, we would say that whatever we have done in so many years for you, things are ready, and we are as a collective. So this is a collaborative, like gasification, we call like we are not a competitive but collaborative industry, and we are. So this is the right time. That a lot of things have went ahead, and for India I would say if not now, then this is like we would miss the bus, because China has been gasifying hundreds of millions of coal, over 90% of urea, 90% of methanol, 80% of hydrogen. They have been making from coal, and we are importing 90% of methanol. We are importing so much of urea for like as our agrarian country, and whatever urea is made in the country is made from imported natural gas. So for a country of 1.5 billion people, it is not now just economic, but it is our like a security opportunity. And I would say then anybody who want to contribute in a national development, this is the biggest national strategic project that we can have, where you are contributing for the country and for the economy, creating jobs here and sustainability and environment. And thank you very much for this platform, and I'm happy to take more questions.
Thank you so much, Tarade Sahib, for sharing with us what New Era is doing. From what you have spoken, I got to know a couple of points which can be framed as a second question to Professor Dasappa. Like he mentioned about innovative clusters and the clusters which are there in China, especially for the coal to chemicals. So the question that I need to ask to Professor Dasappa as of now is, how suitable are our gasifiers? How does our indigenous gasifier compare with the global gasifying technologies, especially for the Indian high ash coal? And where should the indigenous R&D focus be directed most urgently, because we require more R&D in this area? So where should the next R&D, the next wave of R&D should be focused to? And finally, if you can kindly give us some lessons that we have learned from the gasification that has occurred all over the world. Over to you.
Thank you. I think towards this question, I think Dr. Saraswat has put up a comparative slide which talks about various technologies. I think there is a very limited experience in terms of using high ash coal. I think that's something which is very evident based on the data what was presented today, and plus I think most of the people sitting in this August meeting also are aware that where we stand, and it's also music to ears to hear from the coal ministry saying that there's going to be a sort of a very positive response for carrying out some demonstrations and showcasing technologies which could be indigenous. I think to that extent, I definitely concur saying that we need to really look at the Indian high ash coal becomes very, very important. And as far as what Dr. Saraswat mentioned, apart from looking at any other thing, energy security becomes very, very prime important. To that extent, based on the availability, we need to really look at those things. And I also believe, probably to stand corrected, not many people across the globe have been really looking at the kind of ash what we have. And it is in the interest of our country, which Madam clearly brought about, that we need to make sure Atmanirbharta in that has to happen. To that extent, there are various groups in the country which are attempting to do a few things. And to that extent, IISc has also developed a certain things, which is a very noble process. I think many of us would like to see that whether we can take it up, go through the Agni Parikshas of how technology should mature into a product. I think to that extent, probably a few demonstration, which is very, very critical for the industry to see that while industries are eager to come on board, but there is also another critical component which needs to see that whether we can show end-to-end solutions. To that extent, maybe I was very, very happy with what Dr. Piyush brought about, saying that we can sell syngas as a product. This is something which can happen very, very critically. And I'm also happy that for DRI, this would be a most ideal situation. While vertical shaft kilns are available in the country, it's extremely expensive technology to bring in. I think using a gasification system, coal gasification, kind to convert into a vertical shaft could make a very, very big difference in terms of at least reducing carbon footprint on that one. While we have done something related to syngas generation, which can be a very clean fuel, which can go to hydrogen, I think it's also very, very important to look at showcasing the technology package at a demonstration level. Keeping that in mind, maybe the other thought process which Dr. Saraswat has already been mentioning and he wants to pilot is with respect to methanol. I think with coal to methanol is a very, very good initiative, and CO2 is already captured as a process. It all looks at how do we really look at high ash coal. Can we do something at 40% ash? Can we do that one? To some extent, we have done something at close to about 38, 39%. The process developed is agnostics to ash content, and it's a question of partnering and trying to put things together at a demonstration scale. wherein a lot of industries can really benefit out of what we have done, some epsilon contribution to the overall energy scenario. I think there is, to answer your question, there's a lot more to be done with respect to fuels and chemicals with Indian high ash coal. And on that part, there is nothing other than our own work which has to result in products. Very little can come from outside, especially on high ash coal, because there's no motivation for them to go ahead doing this one.
Thank you so much, sir. That really answers this question about high ash coal and how the global technologies fare against the Indian coals. A final question to Dr. Saraswat, and then I can open the questions to the audience. So, Dr. Saraswat, what emergent changes are necessary on how India mines its coal at the first hand? What changes are required in the coal mining and coal washing sectors for coal gasification to succeed?
See, we have considered this problem of utilizing Indian high ash content coal. The two approaches were discussed. Can we wash the high ash content coal and bring down the ash content? We looked at the total economics and the environmental impact. We found that this process, washing and then doing gasification, in both in the sense of sustainability and also in the sense of cost, is not a very viable solution. Of course, there have been a lot of technology developments in developing the washing technology, wherein the environmental impacts are reduced, but much to be done on that, because that is one area where we need to do it for other segments of industry also. But I must say that we should catch the bull by its horns. The technology should be such that we solve the problem of gasifying the high ash content coal. Whatever has been done so far, it has demonstrated that. And I also want to tell you, because a number of industry gentlemen are here who have been having different kinds of approaches. And I also want to tell you that sometimes people do not believe what is being talked about in terms of data produced and so on. And this is an era of chat GPT. So whatever people think that chat GPT says right. So just before coming yesterday, I put a question to chat GPT. And he has given me an answer, which is exactly the same thing which I produced today. Exactly same. That for Indian high ash content coal, I can read the whole thing for myself, but the time is not there. Indian high ash content coal, 45 to 50%, with Indian high ash of calcium oxide, silicon oxide and alumina. The only process which will be suitable is the circulating fluidized bed gasifier. It can be done in a two-stage like Dasapa and company has done, or what we have done in BHEL, Simfer and Thermax. So this is so now you have to believe the ChatGPT if you don't believe me, because it's the area of ChatGPT. Point is the cost of doing coal gasification. Yesterday onwards I have been getting the figures given by Piyush ji, given by Mr. Ashish and others. I personally believe that whatever we have done at very small scale, I know that data is not adequate. But even if I do some kind of a very, what is called conservative extrapolation, I feel the figures which are being now floated for setting up the coal gasification units of larger size, they are on the extremely high side. I can only give you one example, that when Talcher plant was being set up, I was involved in this DPR analysis, and PDIL has made the DPIL. At that time itself, on discussions with PDIL on different parts of that, Piyush may be remembering that, we brought down the cost from our discussions from 17,000 crores to 11,000 crores. Of course, afterwards, some sanction and all that happened. but for reasons which are beyond my comprehension. Now the cost of that project has gone 30,000 crores. 20 something? 18, 19, okay. So we can do that, but I was given a figure that has gone very high. Anyway, whatever that. So even if it is, look at that, 18,000, 19,000, with the assumption that a Chinese company is doing that particular project, with the assumption that we had gone through the process of COVID at that time, all this added, I can understand. But if we are doing it today, with that kind of an ecosystem that has developed, I think the cost figure has to be looked at very, very seriously. Otherwise, I'm telling you, the comparison when it is being done tomorrow of the syngas produced from this process or the steam methane reforming, you are likely to get into trouble. So this is another thing. Third one is, I mentioned in my talk, the coal gasification without carbon capture, utilization and storage is not the right approach for sustainability. Clean coal technologies will come, net carbon zero will come only if we integrate these two technologies together. And I can tell you that we wanted to start this program, that Thermex plant which is producing methanol, when you produce methanol, there is a huge amount of carbon dioxide after distillation that comes out. So we suggested that we will recirculate that into the same gasification cycle, and we find that instead of 1 ton per day, the same plant can produce 2.5 tons per day methanol. So that is the kind of improvement, and carbon dioxide is utilized. I feel certain procedures of this kind should be demonstrated on a medium-sized plant of the size of 300 to 500 million tons, 300 or 500 tons per day, and whether it is done by BHEL or Mr. Bala Saheb or anybody else. And I think Madam already mentioned that we should go for a medium-sized plant. It should be supported in the third category of the government policy also. So I think we should go ahead on that. Now there is a lot of, again, misgiving going on the fact that if we integrate CCUS with coal gasification, cost will go up very high. I want to tell you, the cost figures for CCUS are again being driven by the failures of the industries in the Western world. If you take the Western literature today, CCUS cost is given as, capture cost is given as $100 per ton of carbon dioxide. My friend NTPC, Shashwatam and company, they have set up a carbon capture plant in Vindhyachal, and the cost of capturing carbon dioxide from a thermal power plant, which is one of the lowest percentage of carbon dioxide in the flue gases. Steel is high, cement is high, thermal is lower, about 10 to 12%. Even that cost is not more than $45 per ton. And this is done at a scale which is only 10 tons scale. If you are going to do it at 1,000 tons or cost will come down. So don't get carried away by the cost figures mentioned by European literature, and because they failed, because their priority shifted. Their priority is not to do coal. Their priority is to go for gas as much as possible. Third part I would like to mention, that coal to what chemical? Coal to methanol and methanol to DME or methanol to SAF is the right approach today. Because if you look at pollution in the country today, 60% of the upper stage pollution, upper atmosphere pollution, is from the kerosene or the advanced jet fuel burning in the aircrafts. And if you can do the SAF there, you can reduce that pollution drastically. The question is the cost. The cost again will come down provided you do the right process, right technology. And a lot of innovation is taking place. I was telling microchannel reactors being developed and things like that. So the cost is coming down. And even the gas coming from a landfill can be utilized for converting that into a SAF. So R&D has to be done to use methanol or DME or carbon dioxide into SAF. That is the right route. Second thing is, we should produce DME because we don't want to compete with methanol and ethanol, because ethanol cannot be replaced in our country for reasons which are to the welfare of the farmers. We cannot do that. But we can make DME from methanol, and DME can be blended with LPG. And we have demonstrated, Prashant is here, he has done a lot of work, that 8% if you blend today, there is no need for us to modify any infrastructure for storage, distribution, transmission or transportation of that blended gas or DME into the system. Even 8% if you bring down, what will be the impact on the cost of LPG import? You can imagine. So those of you who are setting up a plant, you should look that as a market. So that is also should be done. Last part I would like to mention here is, and I touched upon that in my talk also. See, Western coalfield, we are taking a shelter that it has got a problem of deep mining. And as a result, the cost of coal in Western coalfield is coming down. I think we have to resort to different technologies for doing that kind of a mining to cut down the cost. Are you going to tell me that when Madam was talking about going deeper mining and all that, that we cannot, in today's world, with this kind of robotics and with kind of automation, and also renewable energy as the means for doing the mining sector, can we not resort to that and bring down the cost of this Western field coal? If you don't do that, you are going to be not competitive. Because if Dankuni is 1,000, sir, 1,000 or 1,100 or whatever, about 800, somebody, about 3 years back, somebody gave me the figure, but it could be more, I'm not saying. And that is the, you are talking about 1,200 and 1,500 as far as the Western coalfield is concerned. There's a lot of difference. And finally, with all the cess and taxation and all that, it will be 5,000. Then again, Balasaheb will say, Mera cost is not competitive. So we have to do something. We have to provide new technology or reduce the taxation and things like that for Vidarbha to really become the hub of coal gasification. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I thank all the panelists. As a concluding remark, I would like to say that the future is really bright for coal gasification, be it surface or underground. Let's see a panel on underground next year. Maybe we can gather some brains from across India and we can gather a panel for underground coal gasification. Thank you so much to all the panelists. Now I would like to request Saraswat sir and Vidarbha madam. We would like to felicitate and honor Anup Goyal sir from Greta Energy. So you can kindly, is she going to do it? Later on? Okay.
Well, thank you so much to all the panelists on the dais. Thank you so much to all our esteemed speakers here. And now let's take a moment to felicitate all the speakers on the dais. May I now please request Mr. Ashish Kale sir to please join us here to felicitate former Director General DRDO and member Niti Aayog Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat. Let's have a big round of applause for Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat.
Let me also come. One with me, please.
So here I request Mr. Ashish Kale sir to please felicitate Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat. As a token of love, we are offering a shawl as well as the memento to our esteemed speakers. Let's have a big round of applause for all the dignitaries on the dais. With that, may I now please request Mr. Vijay Sharma to please come forth and felicitate Srimati Rupinder Brar, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Coal. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen, for Ms. Rupinder Brar, ma'am. Coming up next, I would like to request Mr. Nirbhay Sancheti to please join us here to felicitate Shri Piyush Kumar, Managing Director, BCGCL.
निखिल सरदेसाई ना समीर बेंद्रे आणि मी करणार आहे दासप्पा.
I would now like to request Mr. Jitendra Naik sir to please come forth to felicitate Dr. Dasappa, Senior Scientist and Professor at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Dr. Dasappa. May I now please request Mr. Piyush Mrig to please come forth to felicitate Shri Balasaheb Darade, CMD, New Era Clean Tech Solutions Private Limited. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, now here I request Mr. Sameer Bendre to please come forth and felicitate Dr. Nikhil Sardesai, Assistant Professor, VNIT, Nagpur. Proceeding towards the next part of the event, may I now please request Mr. Ajay Breg to please join us here to propose the vote of thanks.
Dr. Sahab, Madam, Rupinder Madam, Piyush, Dr. Dasappa, Dr. Piyush, Bala Sahab, Nikhil for moderating the session. I would like to thank all the esteemed panelists for taking out their valuable time and enlightening the audience. Madam, with the help of Ministry of Coal, Vidarbha has moved really forward in the last 2 years. 2 years we have facilitated Bala for his first project. Today we are going to facilitate Anup Goel for Greta. They are bringing a project in Vidarbha, and hopefully next Vidarbha will go in a long way in fulfilling the promise of 100 million ton. Vidarbha will have its own contribution towards that, a major contribution towards the fulfilling the 100 million ton. So thank you, Dr. Saraswat. Thank you, Madam, once again.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's have a big round of applause for all the panelists on the dais. I would request you all to